Good morning. Sorry so late. One thing about COVID is you get your rack time 9 hours. I haven't slept 9 hours since I quit drinking. So we never did. We were talking about the steps to creating lasting change, getting leverage, interrupting the pattern, instilling a new pattern, creating a system for support, creating a alternative and putting it in a measure that makes sense. But we never did the last step of creating lasting change. And, the last step of getting leverage is really kind of the last step of creating lasting change too. And that is future pacing, which is simply this. If you want to get leverage against yourself to change something, don't think about what it's going to be like now. Think about what it's going to be like 20 years from now. In other words, if you don't quit smoking, most people, the reason they don't quit smoking is because they look at the pain of quitting now, not the pain of what's going to happen 20 years from now. They look at, God, I'm giving something up and that's going to be hard. I'll just not worry about it. And then 20 years from now, when, they're dying of lung cancer or they're dying of COPD, then it's like, oh man, I wish I woulda or I wish I coulda. The same is true with long-term creating lasting change in terms of the good side. And what I mean by that is in instilling long-term change, think about what you'll gain. So you get leverage by going down the road. Where are you going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? If you don't quit smoking, look at yourself in the mirror in 10 years. Look at yourself in the mirror in 15 years. How much have you aged? What does it cost you? How much money have you spent? What does it cost you in terms of your health? Are you not able to do things with grandkids? Have you not been able to attend things with your kids because you're on oxygen? Are you dead at this point? Those long-term costs are what's going to give you leverage. So then in order to instill the change, think of the long-term gains. Then you go, okay, now take yourself out 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. First of all, that's a good way to ask yourself, what are the bumps in the road? I mean, as you go with this new change, let's say you're changing the way that you're eating right now. As you go with this new change, what are the bumps in the road that you might run into that you need to take a look at? What are the threats? Are there any threats out there that you need to pay attention to? What are the systems for support that you need to put in? Who do you need to have in your life, and who do you maybe need to have less of in your life in order to have this lasting change work out? If you're going to quit drinking, if you're going to change the way that you eat, there's probably some people that you need to distance yourself a little bit from, in particular drinking or drugs, or if you're in a bad relationship. So you can find out the bumps in the road, but then think about what will you gain? Think about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. What will you gain if you've made this change? Let's say you completely transform your body. Go out 10 years from now and think about how proud you are that you've lived that life for 10 years. That you became that person that has these standards. Who have you been a role model for? Who have you inspired by doing that? If you quit smoking today, then go out 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Think about how proud you are that you did that. How many times you got to say to somebody, I quit smoking. How many times you had a grandkid say to you, I'm so proud of you that you quit smoking. And think about, walking your child down the aisle, or being at the graduation, or being at the volleyball game where they won regionals, because that just happened in my area last night. What will you gain? I'll gain. And then really feel those feelings of gaining all of that. And that's not only how you get leverage, but that's how you instill in this lasting change, is take it out. Remember, there's two types of pains, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces and regret weighs tons. So when you're thinking about how do I want to live the rest of my life, take it out 5, 10, 15, 20 and look at yourself in the mirror. One of the things I always like to do is do your perfect day. What is your perfect day? Where do you wake up? Who do you spend time with? What do you do? Who do you interact with? That shows you where you should be in terms of the things that you're doing. If yourself 20 years from now could come back and talk to you and give you advice, what would you tell yourself to do? What would you tell yourself to be doing every day in order to get yourself to where you want to be 20 years from now. So getting leverage and instilling lasting change, use the same tool in order to do that. And that tool is the future. Where do you want to be in the future? And talk to your future self. We get so wrapped up in our day-to-day stuff, we never stop and think about where I'm going to go. And when it comes to the tougher things, a lot of times we're like, oh, I'll put that aside. I'll do that another day. And then all of a sudden, 20 years goes by and you go, man, I wish I would have, I wish I should have, I wish I could have. I should have done this. I should have done that. As Tony says, I should all over myself because I didn't do the things that I should have done. So do them now. Do the things that matter now. Put first things first, as Covey said. Do the things that are important. So then down the road, you can look back and say, I did what I should have done. I did what I came here to do. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.